From the moment this story started spreading online, the entire Love and Hip Hop fan base felt like something explosive had just been dropped in the middle of the internet. People weren't prepared for how fast the whispers turned into full-blown conversation. And now every corner of social media is buzzing with one headline. Reports are circulating that a viral petition demanding Mendeecees be removed from the show has reached VH1 executives. Nothing has been confirmed, nothing official has been said. But the way fans are reacting, you'd think a bomb went off behind the scenes. Even longtime viewers who have seen every type of drama unfold are saying they've never felt tension like this before. The rumors claim that cast members, along with a huge wave of fans, are fed up with what they call ongoing issues surrounding Mendeecees. People on different fan pages are alleging that things have been building up for months, maybe even longer, and that a group of cast members may have quietly pushed for this petition to gain attention. Again, none of this is proven, but the energy online feels like a storm gathering speed. Some people are even saying they've seen short clips, small comments, and vague shade from certain cast members, hinting that something wasn't right behind the scenes. And the timing of these reports only adds more fuel. Just when the new episodes started airing, and just when old tensions began resurfacing online, suddenly this massive petition appears out of nowhere, growing faster than anyone expected. Fans are saying it feels too coordinated, too perfectly timed. It's almost like someone finally snapped and decided to let the public carry the weight of the conversation that the cast couldn't have on camera. And with every retweet, every repost, every shocked reaction, the pressure on VH1 seems to grow louder. What's even more shocking is how divided the fan base has become. Some believe the petition is long overdue. Others think it's just messy drama blowing up in the worst way possible. And a few are convinced there's way more happening behind the scenes than anyone is willing to admit. Whatever the real story is, one thing is clear: emotions are high, fans are confused. And the entire Love and Hip Hop universe feels like it's standing on the edge of a much bigger revelation. When these reports first started spreading, people didn't take them seriously. Online drama pops up all the time, especially in the world of reality television, where every other week fans think someone is getting replaced. Someone is filing a lawsuit, or someone is secretly quitting the show. But this time, something felt different. The tone of the conversation wasn't lighthearted or playful. It was heavy, emotional, and layered with frustration that felt like it had been building for a long time. Fans were saying they sensed a real tension underneath everything. Something that wasn't just created for entertainment, but rooted in the way people on set had been feeling for months. The earliest whispers claimed that several cast members had grown tired of what they described as constant issues involving Mendeecees. Nobody clarified what those issues were, and nobody was willing to attach their name to any specific allegation. But the way the rumors were spreading made it sound like this wasn't a single incident. Instead, it seemed like a collection of moments, small and big, piling up over time until it eventually reached a breaking point. Fans began saying that if so many people felt strongly enough to push a petition, something significant must have happened behind closed doors. One thing that made these rumors hit harder was how familiar the cast already was with conflict. This wasn't a group afraid of clashing, arguing, or speaking their minds. If something bothered them, the cameras usually caught at least a part of it. But the strange thing here was that nobody had addressed anything publicly. Not even in small, petty posts the cast usually makes when drama spills over to social media. The silence was unusual. The lack of reactions made the rumors feel even heavier. Almost like the situation was too messy for anyone to comment on openly. According to different fan accounts, some people close to production hinted that the tension had been growing since filming began. They suggested that certain scenes involving Mendeecees didn't go smoothly, and some cast members felt uncomfortable or frustrated during group shoots. Again, none of this is confirmed. But the way these claims were being shared made fans feel like there was more happening backstage than anyone realized. People started saying this wasn't a typical disagreement. It felt personal, like someone's presence was disrupting the whole energy of the show. The more these whispers grew, the more fans began connecting old dots they had ignored before. They remembered past reunions where some cast members gave Mendeecees cold looks or avoided interacting with him. They recalled moments where Yandi seemed stressed or guarded whenever their relationship or family life came up. People began treating those little moments like clues that hinted at deeper issues nobody talked about on screen. The internet loves turning silence into meaning. And this time the silence became the foundation of every new theory. Once the petition started circulating, everything exploded. People were shocked at how quickly it grew. Within hours, the petition had thousands of signatures, and within a day, it had spread across almost every major fan page. People kept reposting screenshots saying things like, "This is crazy. I didn't expect this," and "What happened behind the scenes that we didn't see?" Even those who supported Mendeecees were stunned at the speed with which the petition gained traction. It didn't feel like a small group stirring drama. It looked like a wave of frustration rising all at once. Some fans began saying that a few cast members might have quietly encouraged the petition without stating anything publicly. They pointed to vague posts that seemed like indirect shade. One cast member posted a quote about protecting your peace. Another wrote something about not tolerating negative energy. Even though none of these posts mentioned names, fans stitched them together into a narrative, assuming they were hints about the ongoing tension. Whether this was accurate or just people reading too much into social media behavior doesn't matter. What matters is how convincing it felt in the middle of the scandal as more details, real and imagined, began circulating. People started claiming there had been heated conversations backstage. One fan account said someone overheard shouting during a break in filming. Another claimed that two cast members had refused to shoot a scene because they didn't want to deal with the same drama again. None of this could be verified, but the way people talked about it made it sound like Mendeecees had become the center of tension. Whether intentionally or unintentionally, Yan's name naturally entered the conversation too. Fans wondered how she must have felt watching the rumors grow. Some speculated that she was staying silent because she didn't want to add fuel to the fire. Others believed she was hurt by the petition, especially if it involved people she thought were friends or colleagues. People began describing the situation as one that must have left her feeling stuck between defending her family and trying not to escalate conflict with cast members she had worked with for years. Whatever her true emotions were, the internet was convinced she was dealing with the pressure in private. As the conversation deepened, people began to imagine different scenarios about how the cast might have reacted to the petition. Some said certain cast members probably felt relieved that fans were taking the lead, giving them an opportunity to stay out of the spotlight while the story played out. Others thought the petition might have caused friction among the cast, with some members quietly supporting it and others being against it. These imaginary dynamics made the entire situation feel even messier, and fans kept adding their own interpretations. The story grew bigger when several people online claimed that VH1 executives had been made aware of the petition. Once that idea spread, everything became even more dramatic. Fans started speculating about conversations happening inside the network, wondering if producers were debating whether or not to address the growing pressure. Some joked that VH1 must be scrambling behind the scenes, while others insisted that networks often ignore petitions unless they grow large enough to become a public relations problem. Nobody knew what VH1 actually thought about the situation, but the lack of any official statement gave fans even more room to create theories. As the rumors evolved, people began pointing out how this scandal didn't feel like typical reality show drama that fades after a few days. It felt like something different. It felt like the cast and the fans had reached a tipping point. The idea that so many people might want someone removed from the show, whether justified or exaggerated, introduced a level of seriousness that people weren't used to seeing. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It felt like real anger, real exhaustion, and real conflict bleeding into the public eye. And with every passing hour, the online atmosphere grew heavier. There were emotional comments from viewers who said they felt torn because they liked Mendeecees as a father, but felt uneasy about the rumors. Others said they couldn't. As all these reactions kept pouring in, fans also started digging through the cast's old interviews. They examined tone, body language, subtle hints of frustration, and moments where people hesitated before answering certain questions. These little pauses became symbolic of something bigger, something hidden. Fans started saying things like, "Look at how uncomfortable she looked," or "That expression makes so much sense now." Even if these interpretations were exaggerated or inaccurate, they created the emotional weight needed to sustain the story. The more people talked, the more the scandal felt like a mirror reflecting years of unresolved tension inside the cast. People began saying that maybe this was the moment when everything the cast had kept private finally spilled out. Whether that was true or not didn't matter. What mattered was the belief that something big had pushed people to this breaking point. And as the story kept spreading, it felt like the tension wasn't going anywhere. Instead, it was building layer by layer, with every comment, every rumor, and every fan theory, creating a storm as the hours passed and the rumors continued spreading. The entire situation took on a life of its own. What started as a few scattered whispers transformed into a full storm of confusion, anger, curiosity, and speculation. The petition had already shaken fans, but the way people were reacting to it was even more intense than anyone expected. Some said they couldn't believe things had reached this point. Others said they weren't surprised at all. And then there were those who felt genuinely emotional, like they were witnessing the collapse of a storyline they had followed for years. One thing people kept repeating online is how strange it was that nobody from the cast had stepped forward to shut the rumors down. Usually when something dramatic gets out of hand, someone posts a message saying the fans need to calm down. Or someone makes a joke about the situation, or at the very least, someone denies the story outright. This time, nothing. Absolute silence. And that silence was like gasoline on the fire. It made the rumors feel heavier, more believable, more dangerous, according to different fan pages. People close to the production crew were saying they had never seen the cast so divided. Someone claimed the atmosphere on set had been tense for weeks. Someone else claimed that certain cast members were refusing to share scenes with Mendeecees. Again, none of this could be verified, but the way it was being repeated across multiple pages made it sound like the conflict had started long before the petition even appeared. Fans began connecting these descriptions with old clips where cast members looked uncomfortable around each other, treating these tiny visual cues like clues in a criminal investigation. As the story kept growing, some people online started imagining what the moment must have looked like when the petition first reached VH1. They pictured executives gathered around a table, scrolling through comments, reading signatures, and trying to figure out how the situation spiraled so fast. People wrote comments like, "I know the producers are sweating right now," or "The network didn't see this coming." Whether those thoughts were realistic or dramatic exaggerations didn't matter. What mattered was how completely the audience had thrown itself into the narrative. The rumors then shifted into a new direction. When someone posted that, a few cast members might have quietly discussed concerns about how the show was handling certain storylines. They didn't mention names, but fans instantly guessed the list: Sierra, Rashida, Spice, and of course, Carly Red. The idea that these personalities ain't known for being outspoken, when pushed far enough, could have vented frustrations off camera felt believable. And even though there was no proof, fans treated it like an inside leak. Soon after that, a fan page claimed that during a recent meeting, certain cast members expressed feeling worn out by repeated conflicts involving Mendeecees. Someone posted a long thread saying they heard certain scenes had to be reshot because the tension was so obvious that producers didn't know how to edit around it. Another person claimed that some of the cast didn't want to participate in group scenes because they felt drained by the atmosphere. Again, all just rumors, but the energy online was so emotional that people were accepting everything as part of one big, messy picture. The pressure on Yandi became part of the conversation too. Fans speculated she must be going through a whirlwind of emotions: frustration, embarrassment, fear, exhaustion, trying to stay strong while dealing with a situation that could affect her family, her career, and her friendships. People sympathized with her deeply, saying they couldn't imagine how painful it must be for her to watch strangers debate her life and her marriage. Others insisted that her silence meant she was trying to avoid making the situation worse. Some even believed she was holding everything in because she didn't want to say something she'd regret later, no matter what people assumed. Her name stayed at the center of the emotional conversations, and as the debate continued, old tensions resurfaced. People remembered episodes where Carly Red and Mendeecees exchanged looks that seemed tense. Others recalled reunions where Spice looked annoyed at certain comments. Some even pointed out how Rashida once tried to mediate a disagreement and looked visibly stressed. These old moments were never about the petition, but fans began treating them like breadcrumbs, hinting at deeper frustrations that had been building slowly over time, the hidden fuel behind. The scandal was how easily these old moments blended with the new rumors. It felt like the audience was watching pieces of a puzzle fall into place. Whether the puzzle was real or imaginary didn't matter. It felt real enough to trigger emotional reactions. And that emotional energy turned the petition into something symbolic. Something bigger than a simple request to remove one cast member. People started saying the petition represented years of unresolved tensions, misunderstandings, and silent struggles behind the scenes. What shocked people even more was how some fans claimed they had seen certain cast members like Sierra and Carly interacting less with Mendeecees in recent public appearances. Someone said they noticed awkwardness during a promotional interview. Another said a cast member quickly changed the topic when Mendeecees' name came up. These observations might have been exaggerated or misread, but in the middle of a scandal, even the smallest gestures look meaningful. Some fans argued that the entire situation might be blown out of proportion, that the cast probably wasn't trying to get anyone fired, and that the petition was just fan-driven chaos. They insisted people were overreacting and creating drama where none existed. But even those fans admitted the silence from the cast felt strange. They said if the rumors were completely false, anyone would have said something by now. Instead, the cast seemed to be waiting, watching, and letting the fans tear each other apart online. Then another rumor surfaced. Someone claimed that producers had called an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. This claim spread like wildfire, despite having no verification at all. People said producers must be worried about the show's public image, especially when the petition was gaining traction so quickly. They imagined producers debating whether to address the rumors publicly or to wait for the storm to calm down on its own. Some believed the network would never fire Mendeecees, while others argued that reality TV thrives on controversy and anything could happen as the days went on. The scandal became less about whether the petition was justified and more about how deeply fractured the cast must be behind the scenes. People wondered if friendships had crumbled, if alliances had shifted, and if trust had been broken in ways that couldn't be repaired. Some fans even began speculating that this could be one of the biggest cast shakeups the show had ever faced, whether the petition succeeded or not. Through all of this, Mendeecees himself became the center of emotional debate. Some viewers argued that he didn't deserve this level of backlash. They said his past didn't define his present. Others said the cast had tolerated too much for too long, and this was the natural consequence of unresolved issues. Fans debated endlessly, each side convinced they understood the bigger picture. The more people argued, the more the scandal took on a complicated emotional shape. It wasn't just about whether someone should stay or leave the show. It was about loyalty, frustration, resentment, exhaustion, and years of quiet tension reaching a boiling point in the public eye. The show had always thrived on drama, but this was the first time fans felt like something truly serious might be happening behind the scenes without cameras rolling. And as the discussion kept building, people sensed that the situation wasn't anywhere close to ending. If anything, it was just beginning to unravel. And the more people talked, the deeper the story seemed to go, with layers of emotion that made it impossible for anyone to look away. That seemed ready to burst at any moment, no matter how many people tried to stay silent. As the conversations kept growing louder online, fans began digging into older interviews, looking for anything that might hint at hidden tension. People clipped moments where Mendeecees looked distracted, where Yandi seemed uneasy, or where other cast members avoided eye contact when certain topics came up. These old clips, once harmless, were now treated like pieces of evidence in a much bigger, emotionally charged puzzle. Every tiny expression, every hesitation, every awkward smile became something people wanted to analyze. Someone even said that in one interview. Carly Red's tone shifted when Mendeecees' name was mentioned, like she knew something she wasn't allowed to say. Was it true? Nobody knew. But in the middle of all this speculation, the smallest detail felt huge. Meanwhile, there were new whispers claiming that certain cast members had reached a point where they didn't feel comfortable filming with him anymore. These whispers didn't specify who, but fans immediately assumed names: Sierra, Carly, Spice, and maybe even Kirk. The idea that people who had worked together for so long might finally be pulling away from each other added a layer of sadness and shock. Fans said things like, "This cast used to feel like a family, and I can't believe it's gotten this messy." Felt like the entire world of the show was beginning to fracture. Some people online claimed they heard about a tense moment on set, something about a disagreement that happened during a break, where voices were raised and emotions ran high. No video appeared, no proof surfaced, but the rumor alone was enough to make the story spread even faster. Fans started imagining the scene, picturing who might have been involved, who might have kept quiet, and who might have stormed off. People said things like, "I can see this happening," or "This explains the energy in recent episodes." Even though nobody had confirmed anything, and in the middle of this growing emotional storm, fans began wondering how Yandi was truly feeling. She had always presented herself as someone who kept her composure, someone who protected her family, someone who didn't let drama swallow her whole. But the idea of a petition asking for her husband to be removed from the show, possibly supported by people she worked with, felt like an emotional blow that no one could ignore. Fans started writing messages saying they hoped she was okay, that they knew she must be hurting, that the pressure must be unbearable, even without her posting anything. People were creating their own narratives about her emotional state. Others argued that Yandi was probably holding everything inside, trying to manage her personal life quietly. They said she didn't owe the public a reaction, and that staying silent was her way of maintaining control. Whatever her true emotions were, the lack of any statement from her continued to feed the growing complexity of the situation then. Another wave of speculation hit when someone online said they heard a rumor that a small group of cast members had privately expressed concerns about continuing the show if the atmosphere didn't change. Fans interpreted this as a sign that the petition was not just fan-driven but had roots within the cast itself, even if those cast members never said a word publicly. Again, there was no confirmation. But in the emotional chaos of the moment, even unverified claims felt like they fit perfectly into the story. People began to imagine what it must have felt like behind the scenes. Cast members walking into filming days with tension in the air, fake smiles covering deeper frustrations, conversations happening in whispers when the cameras turned away. Fans said they finally understood why some scenes in recent episodes looked uncomfortable, why certain cast members didn't seem as relaxed or genuine. They believed the emotional strain had started leaking into the show without anyone realizing it until now. The more people talked, the more emotional the conversation became. Longtime viewers who had supported the cast for years said they felt confused and hurt by the possibility that something this serious had been brewing beneath the surface. Some fans said they were disappointed in the idea of cast members turning against each other. Others said they believed the petition must have been a last resort, something people resorted to only after trying everything else. Meanwhile, quiet debate began happening among viewers. One side argued that Mendeecees was being unfairly targeted, that he had done his time, rebuilt his family, and worked hard to become a better man. They said his growth mattered and that he deserved a chance to keep changing his life. Others said the show needed peace, safety, and harmony. And if someone was disrupting that even unintentionally, then changes had to be made. Both sides believed they were defending what was right. Emotions were high, and the arguments felt personal to viewers who had invested years in the characters' lives. As all of this continued unfolding, fans became obsessed with predicting what VH1 would do next. Would the network respond? Would they ignore the petition? Would they hold a private meeting? Fans created entire scenarios, imagining executives arguing over the future of the show, debating whether addressing the growing petition publicly would calm the flames or only intensify the chaos. Some said the network might release a carefully worded statement, while others said they would probably stay silent until the storm died down. The longer the silence continued, the more dramatic the speculation grew. People began saying that the network must be under incredible pressure, reading comments day and night, watching the petition climb, trying to decide the next step. Others believed producers were scrambling to keep the cast calm behind the scenes, trying to prevent the tension from ruining the upcoming episodes. And then there were those who believed the network might actually use the scandal to their advantage, hoping the attention would boost ratings. Nobody knew the truth, but every guess added a new layer of intensity as the conversation deepened. Fans kept bringing up the emotional stakes for everyone involved. Yandi's family was at the center of it. The cast's unity was at risk. The show's future felt uncertain, and Mendeecees himself had become the focus of thousands of emotional posts from supporters and critics alike. People wondered if he was aware of the petition, if he was hurt, angry, confused, or simply exhausted by the constant drama. And the whispers didn't stop. Some people claimed that a cast member had unfollowed him recently. Another claimed a scene scheduled for filming was quietly adjusted to avoid conflict. None of these details were confirmed, but fans treated each rumor like a puzzle piece that helped explain why the petition had grown so quickly. The entire situation began to feel like an emotional domino effect, one rumor hitting another, triggering more reactions, more debates, more interpretations, until the story became bigger than anyone expected. People who usually didn't care about the cast's personal dynamics were suddenly invested, analyzing every update as if the future of the show depended on it. As the days passed, fans began to say that this wasn't just a scandal anymore. It was a moment that revealed how fragile the balance behind the scenes had become. It showed how years of unresolved tension could explode into public chaos with just a few whispers. How easily emotions could spill over when people felt unheard or unappreciated. And the deeper the story went, the more it felt like things were building toward something bigger, something the audience wasn't ready for, something the cast couldn't escape, something that had been quietly waiting beneath the surface for years before bursting into the public eye in the form of a viral petition demanding change. From the top down, as the conversations continued to explode across every corner of social media, it became clear that this story wasn't slowing down. Instead, it was spreading deeper, moving from simple gossip to something that felt emotional and unsettling for viewers who had followed the cast for years. The petition might have been the spark, but the reactions around it had turned into a wildfire that refused to die out. People began saying the show had never experienced a moment this tense, and that something bigger must be brewing behind the scenes. There were new whispers, claiming that certain cast members had started distancing themselves emotionally, trying to avoid being pulled into the chaos. Someone said they heard that filming had become awkward, with people keeping conversations brief and energy feeling colder than usual. A few fans described it like the cast didn't know who to trust anymore, as if every small interaction might get twisted into another rumor online. Even though there was no proof of any of this, the idea of the cast walking on eggshells made the whole situation feel even more complicated. Some fans began imagining how the producers might be reacting to all of this. They said producers were probably exhausted, trying to hold together a cast that might be unraveling under the weight of unanswered questions. People speculated that behind closed doors there were conversations about the future direction of the show. Debates about how to handle the scandal without destroying relationships that had. In the middle of all this, people continued to dissect older interactions, treating every moment like a clue. Someone resurfaced an old scene where Spice gave a sharp look that lasted barely half a second. The clip was reshared thousands of times, with people calling it evidence that she had been uncomfortable with Mendeecees long before the petition. Someone else clipped a reunion moment where Sierra reacted strongly during a disagreement, and fans insisted her frustration must have been deeper than the show revealed. These interpretations weren't based on facts, but emotions were driving everything now. Fans didn't want logic, they wanted something to connect the dots they felt in their gut. Another theory began spreading that the cast had been divided long before the petition appeared, and the petition simply made the divide impossible to hide. People speculated that there were quiet alliances, silent tensions, and emotional walls that had been building for years. Some said certain cast members were tired of carrying emotional weight, tired of trying to keep